Siyempre, unang-unang pag-uusapan natin, no? Yung
Ah,
yung issue na yung pag-alis. Feeling ko it's either ano na, sige, hindi mo naman kailangan sagutin. It's either INC yan o Islam eh. Kasi I hope you realize na
ikaw nagsasabi niya na, hindi ako nagsasabi niya na.
kaya nga ako I don't care. Kasi marami akong nakilalang INC and mga Muslim na meron talaga sila.
Schematics Analysis Unit ang magmumulat, maiiwas ang iba, bakain nyo pa na mabulag, huling-huli ko ang mga...
Ayun,
Yan,
anyway,
sige.
nandun na ako sa ano,
Okay.
Islam or INC.
Ano muna pinag-usapan natin? Intro mo uli yung yung pag-usapan natin.
Ano bang gusto mong pag-usapan?
Hindi. Sa akin, I wanted to reach out to you kasi nga skin-low screen channel ko, ayokong mag-isip yung mga tao na may pinagbibintangan ako.
Oo.
Na, of course, hindi tayo nag-agree. Pero, I don't think na sa inyo manggagaling yun kasi you're explicitly nga criticizing naman my content. So,
Parang obvious naman yun, no?
bakit pa kayo mag-under the table na ganun? Kumbaga, ayoko lang na magkaroon ng ganung rift. Tsaka valuable nga yung ginagawa mo dahil nag-i-engage ka sa mga atheists. Although, I didn't want yung hindi ko gusto masyado yung style mo. I can go into that later.
Oo.
Pero, at least, you're spending that time. Kayo nga mas maraming in-spend na time sa content ko eh.
Actually,
So I
ayoko
don't think
mag-spend
na
ng
sa
time
inyo
eh.
manggagaling yun.
Oo,
Pero expend ka pa rin. Di ba? Yun nga.
Oo nga, pero ano ba, gaano ka potent yung threat? O talagang naiisip ng possibilities ng asawa mo yung mga ganong klase? Kasi it's also a possibility. Pero hindi naman siya talagang potent.
Para level na rin. Kung ako judge ko yun,
Oo.
it's very threat para sa akin. Pero yun nga, meron ng mga babarilin na. So, meron pa namang sa news lately na binaril sa... Let me ask you, binaril sa Cebu, unfortunately, di ba? How many people are losing sleep over that sa bansa natin?
Pero, is it related
And
sa
that's what
atheism?
my wife is pointing out. Ewan ko, siguro pwede naiinis lang din pwede nga. So wala talaga hirap kasi i-trace. Alam ko pwedeng i-trace daw 'yon. Pwedeng daw i-rip sa NBI or something. Pero how likely are they? I mean, I don't take it against them, diba? Pero they have other things to do, mas significant things to worry about. Tapos nila yung channel na kagaya ko na at the end of the day, very contentious naman talaga yung topic ko. Baka ako pa yung masisi, baka sabihin nila kasi ba't kasi sasalita ng ganyan sa social media, di ba?
Pero I hope you realize din naman na kahit di sa side namin, we actually want you to speak up. Kasi that's actually the point of the existence of my page eh. Kasi alam mo yung we're pushing the intellectual boundary of the atheists in the Philippines. That's the whole goal. Kaya my wife actually was the one na pumilit sa akin gumawa nito dahil kasi, like for example, before yung channel mo, before nandun ako, nakikita ko yung Atheism in the Philippines, yung palang yung kilala kong page nun eh. Sila Mar. Yan, actually, nakita ko na si Mar sa personal eh. Nag-inuman na kami nun eh. Tapos,
Talaga?
oo, tapos medyo, nakikita ko kung gaano ka, alam mo yun, medyo, paano ba sawag doon? Mga bandwagon.
Bababaan ka sa level.
Oo, yung nababaan ako sa level. Oo. So ngayon,
Okay, sige.
ang naging purpose is to push that limit kumbaga, I hope you guys realize na without our existence, hindi tataas yung level ng intellectual discussion about this eh. Kasi, for example, yung theology, right? Kasi,
You've been doing that for a long time.
oh, di ba? Na parang, may mga like kahit saan may mga fake news, may mga maling interpretation or maling pagkakaintindi sa mga bagay-bagay. It's the same thing with Christianity and religion. So, in order for us to understand kung ano yung tama or like for example yung ontological argument mo doon sa di ba? Yun doon sa napaka-importante nung part na yun eh, yung ginawa mong video. Kasi yung definition doon is yung being the
It's a deductive argument,
di ba? So ibig sabihin, if you're going to like dispute or kaya disprove a God, you have to look for the greatest being possible. Hindi yung
Ah.
hindi like for example yung yung deism. Wala namang pakialam niya anong epistemology makukuha natin diyan, wala naman.
Pero we can go into that later. Punta muna tayo dun sa
Sa issue nung mo,
sa issue this sa channel, no. Yung mga things that I learned from that. By the way, dun sa Anselm na video ko, it could have been better. Now watching your video on that, I didn't take that too seriously kasi I don't think people would be interested in that argument. It's not a good practical argument, but that's not the point of the argument. Tama ka, it was a philosophical argument to try to prove the existence of God just by sitting down and thinking about how God can manifest. So yun siya. Reason alone, purely,
deductive a priori.
Deductive a priori, rational way ng pag-reason. Ganun. Rationalization. Okay. So, dito muna sa channel. The things that I learned, ewan ko, unang-una, sabihin ko muna, bakit ako hindi nag-engage sa'yo earlier, yung before, yung dati. I wanted to get yung mga arguments out of the way muna. So, kapag ka nag-usap tayo, siguro I want to have the unstable internet ko. Yan, okay na?
Okay.
Okay, sige. So, gusto ko muna mabigay yung mga argumento. I just want to get it out of the way. Tapos then I will move into more interviews sa mga atheists. Then I'll open it up parang capturing Christianity style. Na more and more discussions between theists and atheists. Pero siguro ibang platform na lang. Kasi what I noticed, napansin ko dito sa channel na to, it's great because I'm reaching a lot of people. The problem is that I'm reaching all people.
In both sides.
So pati
extreme to
both
extreme.
sides. Yeah, extreme to extreme. Pati yung mga taong hindi ready sa mga ganitong argument. Kaya walang problema kasi you engaged with this kind of arguments ka. Pero kahit naman sa atheist may mga pikon eh. 'Di ba? Sa theist side may pikon din, 'di ba? So ang naisip ko, nga pala, I'm talking about something very, very controversial and it goes deep into people's hearts eh. And I can't blame other people pag hindi pa sila ready and then they will hear something like this. They will take it the wrong way. It's great na may platform na Facebook tsaka na YouTube kasi nga, you can reach a lot of people. Pero looking back, naisip ko, nga, it's a two-pronged sword eh. Kumbaga, advantage on one side tapos sa kabila or yung extreme nga. So naisip ko dapat pala either naging anonymous na lang ako or siguro naglagay ako ng paywall. Yun nga lang, may risk din pagka nag-paywall ka kasi
tsaka hindi na magiging funny yung content mo kapag wala kasi yung emotion ng expression ng mukha mo yung kasama doon sa nakakatawa eh.
Oo, kasama rin yun, yung personality, di ba? So, tapos yung pag naglagay ka naman ng paywall, malilimitahan naman yung mga tao kasi hindi man lahat willing magbayad. Or pag masyadong private naman, maganda nga lang doon, para siyang book, di ba? Hindi ka naman makaka-access ng book kapag hindi mo binili or wala nagbigay sa'yo. So kung meron kang gustong controversial topic, di ba? Hindi mo naman, we're sure na kapag halimbawa nasa private group tayo, na yung mga nandun is talagang willing to engage at di sila mapipikon.
Yun lang. Pero yung part ng, I hope sa side ko, hindi ko alam sa ibang tao, pero I actually like yun nga yung buong point ko na sabi ko kapag tumaas yung quality ng atheism in the Philippines, I can die tomorrow. Alam mo yun? Alam mo kasi my point is you actually guys, you guys inaano nyo rin yung boundary ng theism eh. Kumbaga parehas to eh.
Both sides, tama.
Kasi anong nangyayari? Yung mga sinasabi mong yung mga wala na lang ma-argue back. So ang way na lang nila is magbanta. Papatayin kita. Parang sa high school. Di ba?
Ganun.
High school, ganun lang.
Sapakin kita eh, ganun.
Gusto mo, suntukan na lang, ganun. Na parang, wala ka na may argue. So, may sinasayo, ganun din yung nangyayari na parang may mga taong they are like claiming they're Christians but they don't know what they're talking about. May ganun tao. So, yung mga taong yun yung mga natitrigger mo. I hope you realize.
Oo naman. Yun nga, minority sila, no? Pero nandun sila. Or siguro meron din ibang religion. I just don't want to point fingers. Pero yun nga, yun yung risk that I have to take.
Mixed bag naman kasi talaga lahat ng nasa loob ng kahit sa loob nga ng church, na isang congregation, na isang denomination, may mixed bag din eh.
But within atheism din, meron din naman ganun, di ba? Meron
Oo.
iba na would just be an atheist because they just iba-ibang reason ng mga tao for believing what they believe. You can believe for good reasons and for bad reasons. So ganun din all across. Kaya nga maganda yung anyway, yung ginagawa natin, pero hindi tayo nag-uusap ngayon lang.
Oo.
Kasi nga, tama ka, it pushes the argument on both sides. It just makes your argument either stronger or maybe it can help you think twice about your
realize things
ganun.
na parang oy,
Tama.
okay. I kind of understand that. Na-realize ko nga nung yung sa video mo ng yung truth, 'di ba? Na parang nagkaroon ka ng realization. Sa tingin ko lang hindi ko alam kung tama yung realization ko na well, okay, yung una mong presentation on truth is nagbago, napunta ka doon sa theories of truth, sa nature of truth, na which is the more proper way to see it. Na parang sabi ko, okay, so you're there na. So good. Alam mo yan?
So, yun, pwede tayo. Alam mo, ang dami natin topic na pwede pag-usapan.
Yun
Naisip
nga
ko nga Kaya ang dami kong naiisip. Pero, eto nga, siguro may gandang way din to. Tignan natin kung may manonood nito or kung may something na mapapag-usapan tayong mapapakinabangan ng ibang tao. I don't like the format of debates kasi yung 20-minute na yung 20 minutes na opening pa lang. It can take 2 hours just to dissect that Tas yung time limit, yung time crunch, mas maganda each points. If you given your point, makasagot yung isa.
Tsaka hindi lang yun. Kasi like for example, may opening ka, no? Yung opening mo ngayon, ang dami ko kailangan i-tackle doon. Like for example, nag-open ka ng can of worms. Ngayon, paano kung habulin ngayon yung mga binuksan mong yun? Parang ano yung address ko dito?
Tapos mag-opening ka din.
Mag-opening ka rin, ganoon din ang mangyayari.
Tapos babalikan ko yun.
Kaya mas maganda talaga yung discussion. Actually, yung sinabi ko kay Sir Mar, hindi ko alam kung bakit niya ako instrument doon sa video na yun. Pero alam niya na gusto ko discussion talaga. Kasi, di ba nakita mo naman siguro marami kami discussions ni Mar. Na, yun yung siguro yung laging point of view, no? Siguro, mas maganda kung we start on something we agree. Kasi marami tayong we disagree So, doon lang mo tayo sa we agree. So, yun muna tayo. Siguro mas maganda kung ganun yung mangyayari, no? Kumbaga, siguro, some people would call it na parang middle ground, but it's not middle ground, it's common ground.
Ikaw, I don't know if you want this. Let's get it out of the way. Anong ayoko sa channel mo?
Okay.
Hindi naman ganun kadami, pero eto lang yung ayoko dun sa channel mo. Number 1, yung fake atheist na label. Kasi when someone tells me that they're a theist, I don't know, maybe you have a good reason for this, let me know. Pero when someone tells me that they're a theist, I'm not gonna psychoanalyze it unless they're being sarcastic. I'll just take it at face value. Pag sinabi nilang they're atheist, okay. And then we can go into more details kung why they believe, kung how deep they went into it. Ganun. Pero I wouldn't call someone fake theist. Anong magiging basis ko tsaka anong magiging I don't know what's your
that's a good
for me yun yung isa sa mga ayoko doon sa channel mo pero it's your channel at the end of the day.
That's a good
pero what's your reasoning?
Mas maganda yan yung first topic natin ngayon kasi napaka importante niyan Actually, here's my reasoning. For me kasi when you say you're a theist or you're an atheist, you're actually talking about your belief, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how do we know that someone believes something? Ang manifestation is actions, correct?
Yep, actions are part of it.
Kasi you don't act according to the things you don't believe. You only do things according to your belief.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, that's my point na like for example, yun yung buong criticism ko doon sa channel mo, di ba? Na parang if you don't believe in God, why are your contents about God?
Okay, that's the entire topic because there are people that are claiming that there is this deity. That's why I talk about it because yung claim, I look at the world and I say, wow, this is amazing. And then the theist will go, wow, this is amazing because of God.
God did it.
God did it. So, okay, how did you get there? Then I ask for reasons why. So I'm not claiming anything other than God. Maybe there's a God, maybe there's not. But the theist is going a step further. They're saying, this is because of God. So I'm asking, okay, how do you say that? How are you able to say that? I have to talk about it because there are people talking about this God other than the world that we see. So,
but would you make a content about aliens?
Okay lang. But people are not convincing me. I didn't grow up people telling me to pray to aliens. I didn't grow up people telling me that aliens would put me to
So,
hell or heaven.
Okay, so ang gusto mong i-point out dito is kaya mo tinatakil yung something na you don't believe is because may malaking impact sa buhay mo, tama ba?
That's what people are claiming around me.
What do you mean?
When di ba, habang lumalaki tayo ako, theist ako nung lumaki. So, yung God, malaking impact niya sa buhay mo, supposedly, if God exists, di ba? Kasi, yung morals natin, dun manggagaling, tapos yung reason kung bakit tayo nandito, yung heaven and hell, pati hanggang after natin mamatay. So, that's a big thing. And I used to believe all of that. And then, nagkaroon ako ng mga doubts. And then, there's still people who believes it. So, I'm talking about it because it's a big deal. If God is real, if all of that, yung afterlife, yung mga gagawin natin sa pang-araw-araw na buhay natin, that's a big deal. That's your entire life, di ba?
Pero,
Kung sakali.
don't you realize na that's good, that's fine. Kung gusto mong gawin is, like for example, ito. So, dalawa yung point of view, no? So, it's either you don't have the belief in God, so you don't talk about God. Or, you talk about God, but you disprove Him. Na-guess mo yung point?
Well, I'm trying to maybe not disprove but question people's claims
But
because I haven't
sige.
seen evidence for the at least sa evidence ng standard na ginagamit ko. Pero people are claiming, meron mga certain set of claims, diba? May iba-ibang conception ng God na binibigay mga tao. So that's what I'm focusing on. So I've never met a God, I've never seen a God, but people are claiming, there are a lot of claims about the existence of it and that I should live my life based on the standards of a particular God, whoever it is. Hindi naman pinipilit ng lahat, pero yung iba kasi.
Pero hindi mo nakita yung irony doon sa sinasabi mo na they're forcing you to live according to the belief that there's God, but you're already living it.
What do you mean na I'm living it?
Na you are actually trapped by God's laws, the 10 Commandments. Why are you not doing those things? So, yung sinasabi mong, they're forcing me to live according to God's rules, you already are.
Hindi. Certain rules. Maraming rules sa Bible. Di ba meron nga sa Deuteronomy yung hindi ka pwede magsuot ng
but that's
telang pareho.
Casuistic lo yun. Kasi yung casuistic, meaning yung if then na loss, no? Na parang, if ganito mangyari, then ganito. Pero yung, I'm talking about the absolute loss.
Parang morality na. Morality na tayo, no?
Na yung, kasi, di ba kasi yung point natin is, yung belief is nag-manifest sa actions, right?
Yeah.
So, yung action na yun yung nagkasabi kung ano yung belief mo. Kumbaga, if you're going ontologically, ano ba nag-alien
so,
talk na naman ako.
Hindi, what you're saying is that I'm already following God's rules morally. I'm living by it.
Yeah, na parang ano yung objection mo na they're forcing me to live according to God's law. You already are. So ano yung objection? Ano yung malaking objection mo? Why you, parang actually si Nietzsche, sabi ni Nietzsche na parang if you say na you don't believe in God and yet you keep His morality, then you are living in the shadow of God. You haven't killed him.
Given that I believe that morality is coming from God. If you believe that morality came from God, absolute morality to, no? Pinag-uusapan natin.
Hindi,
tama.
ganito. Siguro kailangan natin to ma-distinguish.
Sige, breakdown mo sa akin. No?
Parang ganito, no? Hindi ibig sabihin sinabi ni God na thou shall not murder. It means, ito yung tinatawag na, dahil sinabi ni God, therefore it's good. Even though sa side namin, that's true. But it can also be a created order. Kumbaga, inano niya lang, ano ba, ina-identify niya lang yung law about morality na nandun na sa reality, na ginawa niya rin. Nag-guess mo yung point? Kasi
I get it.
sa thinking ng tribalism, sa Darwinism, ang thinking is we are so stupid to actually know it. So, he had to identify it.
So how do we have that consciousness and ability to not kill each other if was not tama ba? If
Oo.
kumbaga, what's the point of order or the fact na we live in this orderly world na people are not killing each other, tama ba? If I'm not abiding by yung rules na ginawa ni God. It's like yan ba yung parang idea na atheist is using the morality din ng God?
Hindi. They're actually living by it.
Living by the morality na binigay ni God.
Oo.
It would work in that assumption. Pero kasi ano yan, additional, I can, as a naturalist, I can go and look at the world. And if I'm a moral, hindi, ang hirap eh. Ang hirap kapag
sige, try mo lang.
Ang hirap pag hindi babanggitin yung mga ano. So, yun nga eh. Pero, ano kasi ako eh, moral anti-realist kasi ako eh.
Okay.
I don't believe that there is objective morals eh. I can still change my mind in that. Pero, in your view kasi parang moral realist ka ata, ano? Sa narinig ko ngayon. Christian morality yung inuul ko. Yun. No. Pero you believe that there are...
Merong overlap sa moral realist ang Christian worldview.
Pero ano, you believe that there are moral facts at yung moral facts na yun galing kay God. Diba? Doon kasi I don't think na merong moral facts. I don't know how we can get to that eh.
Sige, magandang point yan. So, pero do you believe logic is absolute or objective?
No.
Laws of law. Okay.
It works. It works. Yeah.
Magandang relationship yan. Okay.
Yeah.
So, bakit kailangan mong maging logical kaysa maging illogical?
At minimum, di ba, dapat natin maging logical sa mga... Kasi logic works eh. Time and time again, it proves itself to be correct.
Yeah, but
so,
why?
You have to use it. Because we apply it sa day-to-day life natin, di ba?
Pero can I be illogical living my life?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
can.
the point.
I think you can, di ba?
That's the point. So I can go against the laws of logic, right?
Okay.
Pero that doesn't mean yung laws of logic is wrong. Or subjective siya. Would you agree with that?
Oo, tama. So i-relate mo ba siya sa morality that you can not follow moral rules, di ba?
It will be reduced. It will be reduced to morality. Kaya I'm trying to ask you na parang why do you have to be logical? Why? I can be irrational and illogical. What's wrong with that?
Correct. Oh yeah. You can, but hindi mo siya maa-apply. Magko-contradict siya sa day-to-day life mo.
Like what? What do you
Tama
mean?
ba?
What do you mean?
Magbigay ka ng isang illogical na example. Halimbawa, yung pinaka-basic niya, yung pag tinignan mo yung masyado ng lalalim eh. Pero sige, i-relate mo siya dun sa morality na lang. Kung 'di ba, pwede tayong mabuhay ng hindi moral, tama din ba?
Yeah, pwede, 'di ba?
Pwede naman talaga eh.
Yun.
And kahit sa naturalistic point of view, nakagaya ko. Sa naturalistic point of view, ganun din naman eh. And throughout history, we've seen that. Hitler wanted his morality, 'di ba?
Yeah, pero
gusto niya yung morality niya na siya yung pinaka-leader, siya ipapatay siya ng maraming tao, and you can do it. He's done it.
Pero that's my point.
Pero,
actually.
Sa naturalistic,
sa naturalism, there's no way for logic to be objective. Is there?
At minimum, alimbawa, I think kasi pagdating sa morality, balikan natin yung logic namin. Pag sa morality, pwedeng at minimum, baseline is just for survival.
That's the point. You got it. Tama.
Diba?
That's the point.
At minimum, pwedeng it's for survival. Pero we can also say that we have this consciousness. That's why we have value as human beings. You can also do that. Now, you can say that bakit tayo merong consciousness? At pwede mo siyang i-point out sa isang thinking being na omnipotent God. Kaya tayo merong ganun. As a natural... Kasi I think that's one of the arguments in favor of God. na malakas, tingin ko. The fact that we
No.
have consciousness.
Yeah, kasi subjective
Yung consciousness natin.
Kasi subjective siya.
Kumbaga, sa naturalistic point of view, although hindi naman siya sobrang imposible, pero the fact na we have this consciousness, yun yung malakas na argument para sa akin in favor of God. Pero we also have evidence pointing to yung mind natin was created, yung consciousness was created by a physical brain. Pwede rin yun. Pero yun nga, it's more likely sa God. So,
pero balik tayo doon sa laws of logic, no? Na parang,
sige.
na parang, you just said na we use it for survival, right?
Yeah, at minimum, you can.
Pero, yung ba yung foundation? Yun ba yung bottom? Kasi I think it is. Kasi, isipin mo,
You have to, sige.
yung science ay nakatungtong sa sa logic, then for me, I don't know kung narinig mo to sa iba, pero I really think na yung logic is nakatungtong sa morality. So, how? Kasi you just said na we use it for survival. Okay. Why do you want to survive? The only way for you to survive, katulad dun sa video mo sa morality, na sabi mo, yung klaseng behavior na to, yung mga behavior na to, naipasa sa next generation. Right? And they survive.
At yun yung traits na nagmanifest sa mga susunod generation.
Hanggang ngayon. Tama? Hanggang ngayon. So,
yes.
It means na logic is not the only way to survive. Actually, nakapatog siya sa morality. Kasi according to Darwin, kumbaga, ang kaya mo lang i-conclude dun sa survival is tribalism. That's it. Your tribe, my tribe, survival of the fittest. That's it. Pero yung fittest na sinasabi niya is included doon at nakatungtong yon sa morality. Kasi di ba nagkaroon nga ng mga scientific research about yung mga alpha males, kung sino yung mga aggressive at sino yung mga kind. Na-guess yung point na parang yung survive is yung may trace, katulad ng sinabi mo doon sa video mo, na parang it's kinda the created order. The morality is kinda the created order. So how can you say na logic is objective and morality is not?
How do you get to it was created?
What do you mean it was created? Created order.
Bakit siya can it emerge out of our consciousness?
It cannot emerge in consciousness kung pati sa animal kingdom nangyayari. Nagigets mo yung point? You can argue that kung sa atin lang nangyayari sa humans.
May level of consciousness din naman yung mga hayop eh. Hindi nga lang kasing taas nung sa atin.
So, ang ibig yung sabihin sa consciousness is yung general consciousness?
Parang, ulirat natin. The fact that we can think.
Diba? Kasi the way other people describe consciousness is the freedom to choose between right and wrong. Right?
Pwede rin yun. It's part of it, yes. Yung the fact na nakapag-isip tayo.
Pero
diba?
The animal kingdom doesn't have that.
Kung ang definition mo is yung right and wrong, yun
yung problema. Kaya sabi ko sa video ko na we cannot even define consciousness.
Totoo. May iba siyang definition. Actually, sobrang daming definition ng consciousness which makes it very, very... Ako, at minimum, ang definition ko ng consciousness is the fact na meron tayong ulirat. At nakakapag-isip tayo. We can look at the world and we can decide. We can ask ourselves bakit tayo nandito.
That's the highest form of consciousness sa atin.
Oo, sa animal kingdom. Tayo yun eh. Tayo yung pinakamataas na uri ng consciousness eh. Meron din sila, at minimum para makasurvive sila. Kaya nga sila nandito pa hanggang ngayon yung mga hayop eh. Kasi meron din sila.
Kung i-base natin dun sa animal kingdom, kapag nakikita natin sila, we think na they're acting as if they know what they're doing or they have rules, right? But in fact, they don't have any rules. They just act as if they have rules.
Well, yung mga animals na nagsusurvive ngayon, they acted in certain ways that allowed for them to still be here.
Yeah, pero they're not aware na, oy, this is good. Just imagine kung ma-realize nila kung ano yung moral laws.
I think, well, whether they're aware of it or not, baka hindi natin naaabot yung alam nila. Sabi nga nila may mga ibang hayop daw na mas mataas yung. Hindi natin alam. Hindi kasi sila
No, I don't think
Kapareho
so.
natin eh, di ba?
I don't
Hindi, wala
think so.
silang language eh, kagaya natin.
I don't think so. Dito papasok yung religion. Kasi nakita mo sa Animal Kingdom, it's about tribalism. Darwin was right about that.
Mm.
Pero here's the problem. Wala silang civilization, right?
Yes.
The only way to bring civilization is by religion. That's the point.
Mm,
Kasi kung walang religion, it's all about tribalism. I think you already implied dun sa video mo dun sa evolution na actually yung religion is part of evolution. You cannot live without it.
yung belief in a deity, belief in supernatural was part of some tribes, it was not for others. Meron mga tribes na hindi naman religious, meron mas religious. Well, we'll go to the definitions of religion, di ba? Iba-iba. Pero, yun nga, the belief in a higher power na lang. Baka gusto mo ganun na lang.
Pero, na-realize mo na, yun din yung point mo doon sa video mo na they survive. So, ito yung point ni, ito yung point ni Darwin. Sa natural selection, namimili yung nature kung sino yung magsasurvive, right? Kung ano yung magsasurvive.
Well,
diba?
Depende kung sino yung may mga attributes na
yun nga.
adapt for survival.
Pero yung nature ang namimili nun para mag-survive sa nature, tama? Kasi if you don't...
Hindi naman active siguro. Hindi siya active na pinipili.
Kumbaga, hindi siya active, hindi siya personal. Kasi actually, yun yung criticism sa kanya nung sa libro niya dahil hindi niya maiwasang i-personify yung natural selection eh. Yun yung problema sa book niya eh. Wala siyang point, sabi kasi namimili, ito yung natural selection, parang ikaw namimili ka mag-breed, ganon. So pinapersonify mo, di ba? Pinapersonify mo na ngayon yung criticism sa kanya. Let's say, may structure sa natural selection na hindi gumagalaw. There's structure lang siya na parang sabi natin na lagi nag-change. Continuously change.
Laws of nature, yan. Yun lang siya.
Ganon. Ngayon, kapag hindi ka naka-adapt doon, you die. Right? So ngayon, ang point dito is kung sino man yung natira ay dinedeclare ng nature must be correct. Tama?
Pwede correct. Pwede rin sabihin mong sila lang yung naka-adapt dun sa environment na meron tayo.
So they must be correct kasi what makes them survive it?
Okay, sige, kung gusto mong gamitin yung term na correct, pwede rin siguro.
Kumbaga,
because living is good eh. Sige, living is good, living is correct. Life is good, yeah. Living is better than dying. Sige.
Mapupunta tayo sa secular humanism side mo nito kasi so you have to agree
with
me on
this. Sige, correct. Sige, go.
Okay, so
itayap mo sa akin para mas maintindihan ko. Sabi ko sa'yo, di ba, simple mo para sa akin kasi I never went that deep eh.
Pero ka ba?
Sige.
Okay. So, kung ano man yung napipili ng natural selection, must be correct.
Okay.
Kasi they live, they survive.
Sige. Kasi they survive, they live.
They live, they survive. Kasi mas better yung live than dead. So, kumbaga, you cannot do the science if we're dead. So, kung yun man yung...
We're not gonna be here to ask the question nga.
Yun nga, di ba? So ngayon, meaning, etong mga napili na to or nakapag-adapt or naka-survive, may mga traits sila na correct at compatible sa nature.
Yes, sa nature na ginagalawan na. Yeah. Sa nature na meron tayo.
Then that makes their traits objective. Wouldn't you agree?
Objective for the survival.
Yes.
For them to be able to survive.
Yes.
Okay, sige, I can accept that. Then
kung itatayap mo yun sa, like for example,
sa morality, ganun.
Dali natin ng, sa morality and logic. Di ba? Yung logic kasi, kailangan mo ngayon para sa survivability mo, na lahat ay kumbaga nare-reduce do sa morality. So ngayon, yung sinasabi mo kasi kanina na yung moral facts is, hindi ka niniwala nung una, di ba? So, sasabihin ko sa iyo ngayon, think about it tingnan ko kung ano yung masabi mo. Kasi
kung walang moral facts, sorry, I interrupt kita. Kung walang moral facts, we wouldn't be here, tama ba? Kasi it's a requirement eh.
Yes.
For us to survive, parang it should be embedded in nature na may moral facts.
Yes, na parang
Tama ba?
medyo na-confuse ako sa mga ibang atheists na not because you are accepting that morality is objective, therefore you're not an atheist. You're still an atheist. Like the Platonic, the moral realists, they're still atheists.
Oh, may atheist na moral realist.
Like Sam Harris, di ba? Like Sam Harris.
Correct,
Sa moral
correct.
realist. So
Yes.
hindi ko alam kung bakit nahihirapan. Pero anyway, tuloy ko dun sa ano. Kasi ito yung
Sige,
pinaka-importante. Kasi ang ang gusto mong mangyari is yung scientific method as your framework para malaman kung ano yung truth or kung ano yung sa mas paligid. Tama?
Hindi, balik. Siguro pwedeng bumalik ka dun sa morality kasi...
Hindi, i-tie up ko siya ngayon dito.
Sige.
I-tie up ko siya ngayon. Okay, ganito. So ngayon sabi mo kasi I don't agree na may moral facts. Bigyan kita na isa ng example na it will not make science possible if there's no moral
Sige.
fact. For example, thou shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And do not circulate false reports. So ngayon, create tayo ng two extreme world. Dito, lying lahat.
Okay.
Dito, telling the truth lahat. So, let me ask you, saan possible ang science?
The thing is, ano kasi ko sa morality, I would be closer to a contractarian. We are rational and free being self-interested.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna live in a world where everyone is lying to each other, it's not going to be good for me as a person who wants to forward my personal interest.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi if everyone else is, di ba, war of all against all. If everyone is going to do what they like, I can do what I like and you're going to do what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Di ba? If everyone is lying, the world where everyone is lying, is that a world that I would like to live in as a rational, self-interested being?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, because it's going to be problematic for me. It's not going to be good for my personal interest.
But that's
So,
another topic. So,
Yeah.
kasi I'm
Sige.
just trying to flash out yung buong
What do you mean
point ng moral
possible?
facts.
What do you mean possible in science? What
Na
do you
parang-
mean? Yung
Science relies on reports, right?
it's
Experimentation.
inductive eh.
Exactly.
Diba?
So it's inductive. So you have to rely on the first generation of scientists na actually tama yung formulation niya. Then I'm gonna do this, right? We do this all the time. Na parang we don't have to test everything out. We don't do that. Now we have to rely. Well, iba na, may mga iba na
Pwede
nag-test yan
ring
eh. May mga iba na nag-test yan eh. Marami na nag-test yan. So okay na yan. Tama na yan.
hindi mo kasi matetest yung wala kasing test yung morality, di ba? Wala siyang. Is there a test that you can do para ma-falsify yung certain moral proposition against another?
Yeah, you just said it.
Can we prove it? Can we
You
prove it
die.
scientifically na mali mo? Pwede. At minimum survival, di ba?
Yun yung point. So ito yung point no. So kaya ko siya dinala sa extreme to extreme. Syempre kung nasa gitna tayo may mga mixed bag dito. Kung may mixed bag, hindi natin makikita yung difference eh. So doon natin sa extreme to extreme. A world that
Okay.
everyone is lying and the world that everyone's telling the truth. So the
So
question
nasa
is,
bandang gitna tayo. Pero
the
sige,
question
extreme
is,
muna.
nasan dito possible yung science? Sa dalawang world na to. Is it dun sa everyone's telling the lie? Or dun sa world na everyone's telling the truth? I think the answer is obvious, right?
Na kailangan sa world. Kasi tao kasi
Unless you
naglalay
have an
eh.
argument.
Hindi. Tao kasi naglalay eh.
Yeah,
Parang
exactly,
sinasabi mo,
exactly.
the world, sinasabi mo rin ba yung world mismo? Yung laws of
Hindi,
nature. Dapat
hindi,
kasi,
hindi.
dapat na
Tao lang,
ipapag-aralan
tao
natin yung laws of nature.
Hindi,
Tao lang?
Tao lang.
Tao?
Oo, tao lang.
At a certain level, we can lie and we can still survive. Diba?
No,
Pero,
I'm talking about science. Sang world yung possible yung science?
I don't think may scientific test para sa morality kasi.
Hindi.
Kaya nga hindi ako naniniwala
another
na may
question.
scientific facts eh.
That's
Okay.
another question. So, my only point here is, saan dito possible yung scientific enterprise?
Hindi ko alam kung paano siya sasagutin kasi the only assumption that science makes is that we can study the world. That
Yep.
the world is not fooling us.
Yep. Now we can test it, right?
We can test it and we have ways to at least get to a consensus. Hindi sa lahat ng bagay, pero maraming bagay that we can get to a consensus kasi yun lang naman assumption ng science, but we don't assume that there's no God.
How about the consensus agreed to lie?
Human beings kasi yan eh.
Hindi.
So I don't think science can make declarations eh.
Oo. Kumbaga, ito yung point no? Dun sa world na puro telling the truth, dun magiging possible at reliable yung science. Right? Dun magiging possible. Dito sa kahit yung science dito sa world na to, is kahit sabihin mo pang, is just saying na we can test it. That's a lie. Because everyone
So
lies.
dapat, okay. Paano gets ko na? So logic, only in a logical world tayo pwede magkaroon ng science. Tama ba?
Hindi, in a logical
dapat
world.
at minimum logical.
Hindi. So, possible lang na yung science is mangyari kung unang-una, sabi ko nga yung logically na is nakatungtong lang din sa morality. Kasi why do you have to do it? Because of survival. Okay, fine. So, you also, kumbaga ang bottom nasa ilalim ng lahat is about morality. So, yun yung thinking ko. Okay? So, kapag sinabing do not circulate false reports and thou shall not bear false against your neighbor, false witness against your neighbor, then that's actually the things that prepare science to happen. Nagigets mo yung point ko?
Okay. Parang iba tayo ng definition ng science. It's just basically
I'm talking
a
about
method that we used to...
the scientific enterprise na sinasabi ko
Sige. So you're saying that hindi siya posible kung
Everyone
hindi
is
tayo
lying.
nakatira sa mundo na may kung hindi objective, wala tayong objective na basis.
Na lying.
Everyone is lying.
Na lying, telling the truth is an objective moral fact. But you can go against it. Like logic. You can be logical.
Telling the truth is an objective moral fact. You can make that claim, pero when you say something is a fact, anong nagiging basis nun? No? Kumbaga parang
The survival.
the survival.
That's it. I hope you realize na kahit anong framework na ilagay mo dyan, kahit secular humanism pa, is mag-boil down sa survival.
Kasi tinatay up mo yung survival sa morality and logic.
Hindi, parang what's your...
At minimum.
Ka?
I would say yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Ano ang buong point ng secular humanism? Well-being, right? Well-being, happiness, pleasure, something, right?
Pwede, yes. Part of
Okay.
it.
Does that include survival?
At minimum, pwede, oh.
Okay, pero...
Kasi
pag
it's better to be here than not.
Of course. Syempre, of course, di ba? So, pero what if yung pleasure is nag-run against survival? Which one would you prioritize?
Kaya nga merong mga tao that thinks that their pleasure is part of it is killing other people for my own interest, di ba? And we have that throughout history. Pero nandito pa rin tayo. Bakit? Kasi yung evolution, meron siyang self-correcting mechanism eh. I think. And this is just based on purely... I think kasi yung contractarian na morality is just a description of what the world is eh. Kasi there are people who thinks that my morality or my pleasure is at utmost importance. Hitler would be a basic and simple example. So for 5 years, he reigned the entire Europe, di ba siya yung pinakamakapangyarihan? But then the self-correcting mechanism of evolution kicked in, and let's say
like what? Ano yung
that we want to live in. That meron tyrant. Na merong mga bansa, may mga tao na mas maliliit, na mas mahina. May nagkaroon ng alliance, di ba?
Yes.
Nagkaroon ng alliance, they say that fuck this cannot work, di ba? Hindi po
Oo.
pwede na meron tayong isang gano'n. So, we fought against it.
We call that
Hitler,
natural selection.
Oh, na tinatayap mo sa
It is the natural selection.
sa survival and logic.
Hindi.
Yun nga kasi. I think,
wait lang. Actually, before naging scientific inquiry yung kay Darwin, mas sikat siya actually yung philosophical. Actually, doon ginamit ng mga pragmatist yung point ni Darwin. Na sinabi nila na, uy, biski nga siya o na-gets niya yung sinasabi namin. Alam mo yan? Kasi, that's true. Na parang, kung walang God, everything is all about survival. Okay, if everything is all about survival, then the problem now is there will be tribalism. How do you get out of that?
which there is. Di ba meron mga bansa na iba ang laws kesa sa atin?
Yeah.
And there are countries that oppress yung mga tao
Mhm.
na citizen nila.
Mhm.
And what do we do? Yung mga ibang bansa. Di ba nakikialam tayo? Lalo na yung US.
That's the
Nakikialam
point.
sila para...
That's the
di ba?
point ng advantage ng Christianity because we're not commanded to fight back.
Bakit?
Lumabas-
Kasi you can just
lumabas ka na-
impose...
Lumabas ka na
You
sa
can just impose
tribalism.
to them. Okay.
Lumabas ka na sa tribalism. Nakita mo, the only way to get out of tribalism is religion. Christianity.
Kasi magkakaroon ng objective para sa lahat
Na
na
parang,
rules.
wait, hindi, it's not about me. Kumbaga, this is wrong. This is wrong based on not according to him or according to him, ganon. Nakita mo na parang, ang hindi ko, kumbaga, nangyari mismo sa'yo. It's because of
interrupt
love,
kita.
right?
As a naturalist ba, hindi ko pwedeng sabihin na mali yung isang culture. Sa tingin mo? Or kasi, I would say na sa'yo, sa
They're
point
different.
of view mo, dahil meron kang God, I mean, we can go into the problems with God's commands, no? Pero, dahil meron kang God, it would be easier for you to say, di ba, na ay, mali yan. Kasi meron kang pwedeng pagbasihan na,
Yeah.
na morality, Ten Commandments. Mas madali sa'yo eh. Di ba, sa akin kasi, as a naturalist, pwede ko silang sabihan na mali sila, pero it would be, pwede nila sabihin, bakit kami makikinig sa'yo?
It will be
Diba?
subjective.
So it would be harder for a
Naturalist.
naturalist to explain it to another culture na yung ginagawa nila is mali. Pero it's still possible. Mas komplikado nga lang. It's just easier for you as a
Hindi. My question
as a
there
God
is,
believer.
Why do you say na they're wrong instead of saying they're different?
Because meron tayong consciousness, meron tayong like we want to survive. You just ask the people that are being oppressed and they will tell you na mali yun.
Okay, what
Diba?
do you mean by
Kumbaga,
oppressed?
Pagpalagay na natin yung mga
Slavery.
taong may mga bansa na hanggang ngayon may ganun pa rin, 'di ba? Sa India meron silang caste system na they're saying that people are being enslaved, 'di ba? They're not given the chance. And as a society na free tayo relatively compared doon, 'di ba? Wala tayo ng caste system. I can tell them that it's much better to live in this kind of society kasi we are all self-interested na mga tao and giving people the best chance, 'di ba? Is better for their overall well-being ng tao na yun. Kumbaga, I can tell them based on that na mali yan kasi mas maganda kung we give people the freedom to support themselves, to pursue their dreams. Hindi sila malilimitahan ng caste system na meron kayo. And then from there, I can say na mali sila. Although, yun nga, pwede nila sabihin na ba't kami makikinig sa'yo?
You cannot say they're wrong na you can only tell them na it's not better. I guess yung point. Kasi
Okay.
better doesn't make it right.
Well, well-being is always better. And it's always right. Whether you say na better siya, it's still preferred. You can use a different word. Pero we're always aiming for betterment of the human beings.
Yeah.
As a humanist, di ba? as a humanist, pwede mo siyang, of course, it's better than not having freedom. Having freedom is better.
Yes.
That's why maybe it's correct because if I'm going to base my morality on well-being, then
Pero,
it's correct. It's
how did
correct
you
in that
base
sense.
it? How did you call it correct? Are you using my framework now? Yung kanina ko sinabi na correct kasi is kumbaga in a natural selection kasi yun yung pinipili na mag-survive. Is that your foundation or grounding? Nung bakit?
O pwede. At minimum, mas gusto natin mag-survive.
Yeah.
Mas gusto natin mag-survive sa hindi, kung sa pinaka-base level.
Pero pag
Diba? And then
nag-run,
throughout the survival.
pero pag nag-run yung pleasure or yung happiness based sa survival, which one do you prioritize? Like for example, slavery, yung kanina example natin. Na parang if the alternative is dying in hunger, would you allow slavery?
If the alternative is dying from hunger, as compared to,
Slavery.
paano connection yan? Di ko
Na parang,
magets.
like for example, in a nation, like your nation,
Okay. Sige.
okay, like in your nation, na, okay, everyone's dying dahil sa gutom.
Okay, sige.
But may 10% or may mga 10, sabi natin 10% or 1% ng mga mayayaman.
Okay. So okay sila.
Okay sila, pero how about your citizens? Now, would you allow yung slavery or you let them die? Is that pleasurable? Of course, obviously.
Mas pleasurable na mamatay na lang sila, ganun?
Hindi.
Ano ba? Hindi ko na-gets.
Hindi pleasurable na maging slave ka.
Oo.
Pero
You wouldn't want to live in that society.
it's not actually pleasurable na patay ka.
Parang between those two options, anong pipiliin
What
ko
would
as
you choose?
a...
Oo.
Well, kung survival lang ang sinasabi mo, kung survival
Hindi.
lang, you would choose...
According to your framework.
I would choose surviving, di ba?
Okay, so you
I would choose surviving na lang.
So I agree with that too. So
Mhm.
in that case, slavery can be good. Can be morally good, right?
Well, if survival is at most
Exactly.
important, kaya gaya na
Tama?
pinapoint out mo.
Oo.
Maganda nga niyan. Magandang pag-iisipan ko yan kasi
Oo, sige. Oo.
hindi, maganda siyang dilemma. Maganda siyang dilemma. If you were to choose between mamatay ka na lang versus maging slave ka, if survival is at most important, you would go for survival in any given situation. Yun ang sinasabi mo.
Oo.
Any given situation. Now, maganda dilemma. I haven't thought about that. I'll think about it.
Kasi
Pero-
I'm thinking ko is kahit anong moral framework ang ilagay mo dyan, I don't care. You would choose survival.
And
Right.
there are people who are doing that, diba? They would
Oo.
choose to survive even in the minimum circumstances na napakahirap ng sitwasyon nila tapos wala silang makain. They would choose survive. Pero there are people who also choose death din naman. Diba? Yung mga may
yun
sakit
yung point.
na...
Good point. Pero ito yung point. Naglaban ngayon yung survival and rationality.
Okay.
Panggaan ngayon. Kasi it is rational, it's perfectly rational to kill yourself, right? To end it all.
In certain circumstances, siguro
Diba?
yun na lang pinaka-the best.
Why would you choose survival? To become a slave? Nakita mo yung dilemma
Siguro,
na ngayon?
okay. Siguro even if you're a slave, if you're a rational, self-interested person, you can at least maybe rally your fellow slaves and you can fight back. There's still a chance that you can get out of it. Although maliit yung chance. Pero they've done it, di ba? Mayroong mga tao that they've done it in the US. So, yung mga taong would fight for survival, would choose survival, and maybe they will, at some point, still choose their self-interest and then fight back and fight for their rights, which happens, nakikita natin nangyayari yun.
Yep.
So, nag-fit pa rin siya sa naturalistic, sa contractarian, kasi at the end of the day, it will still go back to the fact that
But,
we are self-interested, na gusto natin,
tama
di ba?
yung sinasabi mo na actually pasok pa rin siya sa moral realist. Pasok pa rin siya sa secular humanism. Pasok pa rin siya. Pero pasok na pasok siya sa Christianity. Okay? So, yung point ko dun sa Garden of Eden, the tree of good and evil, and the tree of life. Kasi the point is, the morality is grounded to life. So, here's the point. Sabi mo sa survival, that's true. Okay, I can agree with that dito sa material world. 'Di ba? Material world kasi ang inaagrihan mo lang is ito na yung physical. Ito na yung when you die nothing happens. Right? That's it.
Based on what we see, I mean, I'm not claiming 100% certainty on that.
Okay.
But
So
based
leaning ka lang doon na konti.
yeah, based on I mean, yun yung last topic ko marami ako na trigger yung sa soul.
Ay, hindi ko napanood.
Di ba napanood yun? Sige, tsaka na lang siguro. Basta yun, we have hindi I'm not claiming 100% certainty na when we die. Pero based on mountains of evidence.
Hindi, nakapag-reply pa yata ako, nakapag-post pa yata ako dun. Sige, anyway, sige tuloy.
I have mountain of evidence na makikita natin na yun nga, dun siya magpupunta eh. Yung mind-body problem na tayo dyan eh. Kasi we're saying na meron entity or something, basta something na would continue after we die.
Pero in both ways sa amin, it's about life. Physical life and eternal life. It's about life. So, kaya ako siya ground sa life na I don't think na you can avoid that. Actually, Darwin said it na you cannot avoid that.
Well, the fact that we value life, well, yes, we want to continue life.
Yes.
Pero it doesn't prove or it doesn't follow na meron tayong afterlife.
Yes, pero
But we just prefer it. We just prefer it.
Pero that's an implied evidence. Like for example, yung sinasabi nyo na hindi ko alam kung aware ba kayo or talagang honest mistake. Kasi sometimes you interchange if God is real and if God is true. Kasi real and truth, they're different eh. Now, kung real lang yung point is, it's easy. You look at the converted people from their past lives. Diba? Yung past life nila. Yung dating buhay nila. And yung converted. Then you kunin mo yung evidence na yon, and then that actually implies God is real.
Yeah. If you take that as evidence, you can also use mga puno, mga babies, di ba ginagamit din ng ibang tao yan?
Yeah.
Just look at nature. Pag nasa beach ka, di ba? Pag tignan mo yung nature.
Feeling ko narinig mo to eh. All evidence is God's evidence.
Iba din sinasabi sa akin na yung mga nangyayari sa buhay mo lahat galing kay God yan. So if you're going to use that as evidence for God, of course it's very easy to say na God exists.
Right?
Kasi inimbed mo siya dun sa mga actual na pangyayari na meron tayo, na alam natin na naobserbahan natin. Pero
again,
you're adopting a burden of
yes.
Diba?
Sige, let me shift the burden of proof naman sa'yo. Sabi ko, di ba, we actually agree. You agree na Jesus of Nazareth is a real person. He existed in history.
I can grant that, no problem.
So, in that case, that's the direct evidence of the existence of God in our worldview. Right?
As a worldview mo. Oo naman. It would be evidence for you.
Hindi to indirect. Hindi to yung example na na-change yung converted. Hindi to ganon. Hindi yung plants, dito yung babies. Isa direct evidence.
Si God na mismo.
Si Christ mismo. Si Christ mismo. Bumaba si God mismo. Yun mismo. Sabihin mo, paano natin malalaman kung sino yung God? Well, the empty tomb was real. It's historical. So, the burden of proof now is, where's the body? Sa'yo. Ay, yung burden of proof. Na-shift na ngayon yung burden of proof. Kasi you're saying,
I don't know how well do they take care of bodies ng mga namamatay na ganun noon. The problem is, okay lang sana yung claim eh. Sobrang bigat kasi nung claim eh. Parang I think na sa ganung klaseng claim na may nabuhay na patay, it's
supernatural.
Kung Jesus just lived, a person named Jesus lived, okay, fine. Pero may mga miracle claims ng mga ano. Kasi ito yung problema ko dyan eh. Halimbawa, eto, I hate to make this scenario, pero
sige.
tinatry ko to. So, halimbawa si Kibuloy, di ba may mga supporter siya. Let's take away all of the digital evidence na meron tayo. Siguro natira na lang isang book na nagsasabi na ginawa to ng mga supporter si Kibuloy. Nakalagay doon na si Kibuloy is nakapagpatigil ng isang malaking network, nakapagpatigil ng traffic sa EDSA at ng Lindol.
Okay.
Tapos, yun lang ang meron tayo after years and years, like let's say 2,000 years.
Oo.
And then, nakalagay din doon na si Kibuloy is the son of God.
Mhm.
That's all we have. We have nothing.
Who's
Are
God?
we justified? Are we justified to believe that Kibuloy was really the son of God? People 2,000 years from now.
No, we're not. I agree with that. We're not justified.
But
Dahil
that's
doon.
the same thing we have with Jesus, eh, di ba? It's a collection of stories.
No,
It's a collection of stories na merong ano.
No. No.
The empty tomb is still in dispute. Merong mga theologians na di naman lahat nag-agree doon sa mga details eh.
I think yung sinasabi mo is yung mga mythicist yun. They're not
Okay,
actually
okay.
welcome. They're not actually welcome to the scholarship, the journals. Kasi they're not taken seriously. Kasi what do you have to offer? Nothing. You're just offering a myth kind of story. Ganun. Pero
Sige, what's the difference sa scenario ko doon sa scenario kay Jesus?
ito yung difference. Si Kibuloy hindi namatay at nabuhay. Pero si Christ,
Okay?
namatay at minakita na more than 500 at di makita yung katawan. At 3 days after, hinanap ng Jews, hindi to yung yung 2,000 years na sinanap. Hindi, may mga testimony tayo, even sa secular side, na, Pontius Pilate executed him. And then, ito yung nangyari, kahit sa Jewish sources, kahit sa Jews, na sila mismo nagsasabi na, oo, meron. Pero ba't nila sasabihin yon kung ayaw nila actually sabihin na, no, may ganyan tao kasi kalaban namin yan, yung sumira sa religion namin eh. Why would they do that?
So it just depends on how the story is. Siguro kung si Kibuloy ay namatay at nabuhay din, then we can accept it.
Yeah. Kung. Pero the problem is...
And let's say,
okay.
isa pang ginagamit dyan sorry. Isa pang ginagamit dyan is may mga namatay for their belief. Sabi nila yung mga apostles daw, di ba?
Mhm.
And yung mga ibang tao na they weren't expecting that si Jesus will resurrect.
Yeah.
Pero kailangan ko pang reviewin yung resurrection ko, isa yun sa mga topic ko.
Oo.
Pero siyempre, nagwe-web na yung mga topic natin Iba-iba na
Oo.
Pero yun lang yung contention ko Kumbaga, yung evidence natin is mostly, pagdating sa resurrection, is claims. At hindi pa nagmamatch yun. Sa mga tao
How do you
nagsasabi
prove
na
it?
nakita nila si Jesus.
How do you prove it?
Di ba mayroong mga hindi nagmamatch na details?
Hindi,
Pero I
I
don't
mean-
have a problem with it.
I mean. Like,
How
for
do I prove
example,
na hindi
it's true.
nangyari yun?
Hindi. Na nangyari yun. How do you prove it?
Na nangyari yun?
Oo.
Yun nga Standard
That's
of
the
evidence
point. Anong standard of
Hindi,
evidence?
it's standard of
Testimonies.
evidence Same thing with Kibuloy. We will have testimonies after 2,000 years.
Here's the difference. Si Kibuloy is nagkaroon ng idea dun sa existence ni Jesus Christ. It doesn't make Jesus Christ not the Son of God. It only makes Kibuloy the rip-off version. Right? Kasi maraming nangyari sa history ganon.
Because we know it now. Kasi alam na natin siya ngayon. So, kaya ibig mo sabihin, noon walang ganong claims. Yun lang ang claims ng time na yun.
Yup. Oo, yun lang yung claims nun na mismo sila yung nag-abang Jewish authorities kaya nga pinayagan according to the Bible na dinisplay siya para sa dalawang world, the Jewish world and the secular world. Dinisplay siya.
Hindi
For a
yata
reason.
unique yung storya na yun, di ba? I have to review it.
Cross?
Meron akong nakikitang storya na Romans crucified everyone na went against them. Pero yun nga, yung nabuhay. Pero meron din mga istorya noon ng mga nabuhay na patay. During that time, and even
may binuhay si Christ, si Lazarus, di ba?
hindi.
Sabi natin totoo yun.
Oh, okay.
Sabi natin totoo yun. That doesn't mean it contradicts yung resurrection ni Christ doon sa ano niya. Yung gusto mo i-point out?
Merong mga ibang religions noon na alam ko may ganyang storya din. I have to review it. Merong Zoroastrianism yata nung sa
You have to
Persian
review it kasi
Empire
malayo
na meron. Hindi. Ang problema ko sa resurrection, these are claims di ba?
Everything
That we
is
have.
a claim.
It's stories. It's okay to make a claim. Halimbawa, sabihin ko na madumi yung brief ko kahapon, nagpalit ako.
Okay.
Nagpalit ako ng brief. Okay, fine. I can accept that's fine. Pero pag sinabi kong nagpalit ako ng brief kahapon tapos may lumabas na unicorn tapos lumipad ako tapos na gano'n.
Oo.
Wow. 'Di ba iba na siya?
Pero
Kung sabihin mo, nagsalita ka kahapon, okay, fine. Pero kung sabihin mo nagsalita ka, tapos may mga lumabas na mga rainbows, tapos na gano'n, kumbaga, ba na yun?
pero you have two problems
Diba?
here. Kasi
Mm-mm.
historically, he died. Yung
Yes,
una-una.
oo. Mm-mm.
Pero the body was never found. Even after 3 days. Okay? Yun yung first na shifting of the burden of proof. We're not talking about the divinity first. Okay? We're just talking about the person who died, crucified, and the tomb was empty, and hindi nila mahanap yung katawan. That's it. Just focus on that.
So, the only explanation, kayo nawala yung body niya is he resurrected.
Unless you can offer an alternative.
Okay, so sige, accept ko yun. So, everybody na nawala, lahat ng body na nawala, we can assume that it just resurrected based
No.
on that. Kasi kung
No.
ang evidence ko,
They have
kung ang
bones.
standard of evidence ko is, hindi, paano kung mawala?
They still have
Hindi natin alam kung ano
bones.
nangyari. Pwedeng nanakaw eh. Pwedeng nawala
Kahit
doon. I don't know
kahit
how,
naman-
I
kahit
don't know
naman
how they take
nanakaw.
care of those.
Kahit naman na ako, may katawan pa rin eh.
We don't know what happened to the body. That's the thing. We don't know what happened to the body. And the fact that we don't know.
I agree,
All we
I
have
agree.
is
I
all we
agree,
have
I
is
agree.
the stories eh, di ba? Ito
Pero-
yung stories na pangahawakan natin eh.
Wait lang.
Between sa story nila,
Sige.
sa story ng ibang tao na nawala. Ewan ko nagigets mo. Kumbaga, ang meron tayo is yung story na nawala yung ni Jesus. Okay, I can grant that. And the only explanation that they can think of kaya nawala yun is because he resurrected. Okay, fine. What if I have another story of a body lost? How would am I gonna assume that it also resurrected? I mean, is that our standard?
Hindi, may two problems kasi sa point mo eh. Ang gusto mo sabihin is, dahil nawala yung katawan, therefore, nag-resurrect na. 'Di ba? Yun yung gusto mong i-parallel dun sa ano eh. 'Di ba?
Hindi ba
Dun
yun
sa-
yun ang claim? Di ba yun ang claim?
No. That's not the only
Okay.
claim. The claim
Okay.
is, nag-resurrect siya. No, empty tomb.
Mm-mm.
Hindi manap yung katawan. Okay? And then after, may nakakita sa kanya more than 500. So ngayon, sa point mo, okay, sabihin natin, wag mo natin puntahan yung may nakakita sa kanya. Doon naman tayo sa nawalang katawan. Sa nawalang katawan lang muna tayo. So ngayon, kahit nawala pa yung katawan, kahit ninakaw pa yung katawan, may katawan pa rin yan. Hindi nagdi-disappear ang katawan bigla. May katawan pa rin yan. So ang point mo ngayon is, pero hindi natin mahanap, hindi natin alam kung saan natin nahanapin. But again, na-shift ngayon yung burden of proof sa inyo. Nagigets mo yung point? Kasi without the body,
we can't we can't go back in time eh.
pero
What we have is stories eh. Kumbaga kung gusto mo ipa-prove sa akin na hindi nangyari yun, what I'll do is I'll just accept the story. Kasi nga, kung hindi ko siya kayang i-disprove, it means that I have to accept the story. The problem is that, okay, I have no problem with that. Okay, I'll accept the story. Ang problema, I'm gonna have to apply that same standard sa mga ibang stories na naririnig ko.
like what?
And if I'm going to exempt them, si Sai Baba, nabuhay din, namatay, di ba? Tapos maraming mga taong nakakita kay Elvis
Historical?
after niya mamatay. Mga Elvis sightings na kiniklaim ng mga tao. If
At the
I'm
same
going
time?
to accept,
At the same time?
paano at the same time?
Kasi yun yung point eh, kasi just ontologically, no? Kasi
Oo.
napaka-importante na magpakita si Christ sa marami. Kasi part of God's attributes is omnipresent. Nagets mo yung point.
Okay.
So, napaka-importante na mangyari yon.
Kain na kami, pre. Pero sige, go ahead.
Sige. So, napaka-importante.
Hindi,
Kasi ito lang yung buong point na yung burden of proof, kumbaga, you can say na I can believe the story or I cannot believe the story. But again, you cannot deny that the burden of proof is on your side now. Kasi kami, the absence of body is our proof na he's resurrected. The only way to disprove it is to find the body. That's the Jews and the Romans were trying to do. Simula pa lang. Nagigets mo yung point ko? Yung burden of
Nagigets
proof.
ko. Pero
the burden of proof is
yung side ko, naintindihan mo sa side ko. Kasi hindi ko siya kayang
Estiman ko.
i-prove at this point eh. Hindi kasi kayo Kayo ang pinangahawakan nyo is that story.
Aha.
Which
Historical.
basically
Historical.
story. Pero pwede natin siyang tanggapin as historical. Pero that's all that we have now.
Hindi, pero
That's all
how do you accept it as historical and not historical? Kasi even
I don't think I have to disprove it eh. Kasi gusto mo i-disprove ko something that happened 2,000 years ago. Okay, I can't. We'll base it on the stories. But if I accept that, do you understand if I accept that? There's other claims that would I have to accept based on stories. If they are
No. Teka,
If
I
they
think
seem-
may misunderstanding
Wait, diba?
dito eh. I'm just
Sige.
talking about the person Jesus
The
Christ.
resurrection. The resurrection.
The person.
Yun nga,
I'm just talking about the person.
We have to make that exception kay Jesus in everything else that people claim we have to reject. But somehow
No, we
ito yung
don't.
exception natin.
We don't have to reject
No,
everything.
there are people who claims that na may
Kaya
mga
nga,
ganung
you
ibang
compare
version
them.
ng God eh.
You compare
Di ba?
them.
Ano yung standard ko para masabi na ay to? Yung iba hindi.
Historical si Christ.
Marami rin ibang historical na mga
Nag-claim
istorya
na God
na hindi
sila?
natin ina-accept. Ba't di mo ina-accept si Allah?
Si Allah kasi may tuhod. Teka. Joke lang.
Oh, sige,
Hindi,
bahala ka.
hindi.
Kasi sabi ka pa kanina, buti hindi na record yun.
Hindi. Kaya kung hindi ko siya ina-accept, unang-una, hindi niya pwede i-ground yung love. The only way to ground love is Trinity. Is by Trinity. That's the only way to ground.
You.
No.
For you.
I can do it by reason alone. Kahit sino iharap mo sa akin.
Yun nga eh. And they also have their own reasons to do that. My thing is that for me to decide, I'm just gonna have to pick kung sino yung feeling ko na tama. And I'm gonna use my reason, sit down and just use my reason. There's so many gods that you can end up just by sitting down and reasoning. Pero kasi as a naturalist, I would have to use something else. I mean, at minimum, yung beliefs ko has to be reasonable, it has to be logical. Pero you have to go out in the world to also test it. And that's how we find the best knowledge that we have. Lahat ng mga medical knowledge that we have now, the scientific knowledge that became useful, they did not become useful dahil we just sat down and think about it.
But,
we had to test
no.
it. Halimbawa, laws of thermodynamics, di ba? We see that energy is conserved. And then we'll just sit down and say, oh yeah, energy is conserved. No, we have to go out there and test it. Yung
Wait
gravity.
lang. Pero you use reason alone first before you actually investigate it, right?
Yes, at minimum it has to be logical. And then
No, at first.
you go out in the world and test it. That's the best knowledge that we have.
Hindi, kasi the way
yung
is,
empirical knowledge.
we have the hypothesis, then we test it, it becomes a theory. Tama?
And
So,
then you can
have
then
to sit
test it
down
now.
First, you have to sit down first to actually think about it by reason alone, and then you test it, and then you falsify it, it becomes a theory. Right? So ang point doon is, you cannot escape by reason alone.
Yes, and that's what you're going to be using to justify why you can hold on the idea of love. Tsaka yung mga Muslim hindi.
No,
You
as
said na
first.
you're going to use it as reason.
No,
You're going to use reason alone.
Hindi, I'm gonna use it by reason alone, and then we compare. Kasi alam kong aware ka, the ultimate na proof namin is Christ Himself. You know that. You used to be a Christian. So, you know that. He is the ultimate proof that we have. So, it's either we start with Him and then go back ontologically, or we start first ontologically and then go to Him. End up sa Kanya. That's the only way. The side namin.
Yun nga, and how can I decide between that and other
hypothesis first.
other beliefs? O, di ba?
Hypothesis
Yun nga eh.
first.
Pero I feel like I'm always just ending up in faith.
Yeah.
Which religion
because
I
that's
have
the
enough
point.
faith with?
Because that's the point.
Yun nga eh. Can a faith be wrong? Can faith in something be wrong?
It can be wrong, yes.
And how do you know you are right?
Ito, bigyan ka ng example. Yung faith na sinasabi namin, isang object niya si Christ, which is real, historical person. Nagigets mo yung point? Hindi ito yung
Also
si
Muhammad,
Allah,
yeah.
hindi naman gets
Si Allah. Kasi inano mo yung ano ni God eh. Siya si Jesus na nagano.
He's the visible image of the invisible God.
Okay.
So, they're one. Okay? So, siya yung ultimate proof namin.
Okay.
So, ngayon, yun yung pang-knockout sa lahat. Na parang think
For you,
about,
yes. So,
now, can you think of something else? What else?
historical figures,
No,
other religions,
yes.
other religions.
Like what?
Ibang mga characters, iba lang ang story nila, hindi kagaya nung sa inyo.
Same Bible?
Guru Nanak. Hindi nga eh, kasi you put a different weight eh sa Bible eh.
Hindi,
You put a different weight in the story of Christ eh.
akala ko kaya
Sinasabi ko sa'yo, hindi, yung ibang religion, di ba? Yung ibang religion, they also do the same thing and they end up in a different belief. Now,
Yeah,
as
that's fine,
someone
that's
who's studying this, what's my method to use to know the difference between two religions and which one is real and true.
Again, ito yung pinag-usapan kanina. You go with hypothesis first, by reason alone, and then you investigate, and then you theorize. Tama? That's the proper...
Yeah, and what's
by
the
reason alone.
basis? Parang lahat ng beliefs kasi it's all basis. You have to have faith in that belief and accept it to be true.
All belief?
Lahat ng religion is almost all religion
No, wala.
has to have faith to work eh.
Recorded ka.
Diba?
All belief?
O sige. Religious beliefs.
What makes it different sa belief mo?
Because my belief sa natural world, we can test it outside of what I'm thinking. So if you say that people rise from the dead, I have 99.999 observational evidence that doesn't happen. But you have this 0.1%, 0.001% is Jesus. I'm not saying that it did not happen, but
That makes it unique, right?
it is
Yes.
unique. But there are
Yes,
other
yes,
people
yes.
who claims it. May mga ganyan ding claims sa iba. But do I accept it? Do I also accept it?
Are they historical?
Merong historical claim na ganyan. I'll get back to you on that.
Oh, yun, maganda yan. So,
Yan
so
ang-
ito lang yung buong point kasi parang ang may idea kaya yung faith namin is somehow invisible yung object. No, ang faith namin is visible yung object. Christ, historical person. That's the
Sige. Kakain na kami, pre.
Sige,
So,
sige.
tuloy na lang natin yung susunod, ha? Tapos, kung gusto mo, mag-isip ka ng topic para hindi tayo nagwe-web-web. Makapag-prepare na tayo.
Pero maganda balikan natin yung sa dilemma, yung sa morality. Mas magandang natin.
Sige.
Oo. Paano?
Gusto mo morality na lang sa susunod pag magplano tayo.
Dun sa dilemma sa slavery. Kasi alam ko, may post ka rin yata.
Hindi, parang nasagot ko na yun, ha? Parang sagot ko kanina, di ba? Parang at minimum, if you value survival, then if you choose to survive than dying, you have the chance to
Pero sa framework
rally yung mga slaves, yung mga ibang slaves to fight back, which actually happened sa US, di ba?
Pero sa framework mo, you have to agree na slavery can be good. Are you just granting that
if you're gonna compare it to dying, and if I value life,
sa framework mo,
pwede pa rin siyang ma-justify sa you're giving me the option to choose between a dilemma, either of which hindi maganda yung kakalabasan, di ba?
Yep.
Pero in the other option, I have the chance. I still have the chance as a slave. If I value my own life, if I value my own interest, then I can rally the other slaves and we can fight back against the oppressors, which what we saw happen to a lot
Pero
of
that's after the
history.
decision. Mahaba na naman tayo. Sige na nga, kumain ka na nga.
Yeah, oo nga, kaya nga.
Sige na.
Sige, oo nga. You have to mention, Sige, next time na lang. Pag bibigay ko sa yung recording nito after.
Sige.
Schematics Analysis Unit ang magmumulat, maiiwas ang iba, bakain nyo pa na mabulag, huli